What's up, guys? What's going on, man? I'm Paul. This is Pauline Theology's Daily Devotional with Trust in Jesus Ministries. Here, we want to help you to trust in Jesus. We want to help you to learn to know Jesus, to be taught of Jesus, so that we can know who he is, what he's done, who his character or what his character is, and then by doing so, then we trust in him more. We can see that he's reliable, faithful, true, just, loving. Man, and with that, dude, we have a growing connection with him, man. And I hope that I'm helping you do that. This is Pauline Theology's Daily Devotional. We're going through the book of John. Today, we're in John chapter 20, verse 27. So if you haven't read it yet, go and stop the tape, see what it has to say, come back, and then we will answer some questions, man. We answer 4 questions here. First question is always, what is the scripture actually saying? Like, what's going on? What's happening? The second is we ask the question, what does the scripture say about God? What does it say about Yahweh? And then next, we see what does it say about mankind? What does it say about us as either Christians, non-Christians, or mankind as a whole? And then finally, the fourth question we ask is, how can we apply these truths of what the scripture actually says, who God is, who we are, to our own lives? Because what's the good of knowing it if we ain't living it, right? So today, again, we're in John chapter 20, verse 27. If you haven't read it yet, stop the tape. Go back, read it, see what it has to say. Come back, and then we're going to answer those questions that I just told you about. But if you have already read it, man, let's wait no further. I'm done talking about this stuff. It's time to talk about Jesus, man, because he's the best thing going. He's the best thing going. So what's happening in the scriptures? Well, we talked a little bit about in another episode that Thomas is actually in the midst of them again, or Thomas is with his brothers again on Sunday, and Jesus appears in the midst of them. Well, when Jesus appears, man, he turns straight to Thomas, man, straight up to Thomas and says, "What's up, brother? What's happening, man?" He says, "You want to see the scars on my hands and my feet? Put your fingers in there, Thomas. Put your fingers in there." He says, "You want to see the scar? Put your hand in the scar." That's what I heard you were saying, right? He's like, do those things. And then he gives him a mandate. He says, don't be unbelieving, but be believing. And then the Greek here is very difficult in the way in which it is presented. Word can have the same letters, right? The same spelling, but have 2 different types of meanings, man. And it is because the way in which the lexical terms come down, but it is how you read it is how you understand the use of it. The reason I'm saying all this stuff is because it can be taken as substantive, which means that the word for, instead of being believing, it would be believer. So substantive means that the verb is actually a noun, used as a noun, and so he can either be saying, Jesus can either say, don't be unbelieving, but be believing. But he could also be saying, don't be an unbeliever, but be a believer. And so what Jesus is saying to Thomas is, man, let these evidences now change you. Let these evidences now make you a new person. Let the things that I have shown you, my revelation of who I am, redeem you. That's what Jesus is saying to Thomas right there. We all need reminding of that, because Thomas is not like he's an unbeliever. So that's why a lot of people or some scholars don't believe that it's substantive, which means that they're saying don't be an unbeliever, but be a believer. But that it says don't be unbelieving, because sometimes in our lives, man, we forget. We have a mind that tends to squash away the things that we know are true, to be overcome by untruths of Satan and of the devil. And that may have been what happened here for Thomas, man. And so Jesus tells him, don't be unbelieving, but believe. Know that when I say something, it will happen. Because Jesus told him that he would rise again. He would die and rise again. That he would leave, but he would come back. He would not leave them as orphans. So what does this say about God? Well, I think what we should know is that it says that he is truthful. Truth. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth. That all that he says is bound up in reality. That means everything that he is, all that he does, is the actual thing that it is, but it also means that everything he says will come to pass and is absolutely 100% faithful, true. What Jesus says happens, and what he says he means. I think that's important for us to recognize. Is that who God is? He is absolute truth. And then I think another thing that it says about him is that he ain't holding back no punches. He reveals himself to us. He shows us who he is so that we can know him. But he doesn't let it end there. He makes you make a choice. He makes you make a choice. What's this say about mankind? I think as a whole of mankind, it says that we have to make a choice. There is a decision that has to be made as Jesus presents himself, as he confronts us with his reality of his truth, of the truth. How do we respond? How are we to respond? This is for everybody, because God has revealed himself. Paul says in Romans he's revealed himself through nature, that we know and understand that there is a creator because there is creation. And so because of that, we have to make a decision as to whether we will follow the one who has created us or rebel. I think that as Christians, it's for us to be reminded that we still are with Jesus. And that at times we can fall into this unbelief, as I said earlier, but remind ourselves of the truth of who he is and not be unbelieving, but be believing. So how can we apply these truths to our lives? I think it's important for us to see and know the reality that Jesus is, that he is real. He is true. Everything he says comes to pass. All that he says he will do, he does. And because of that, in light of that, well, let's listen to him. Let's follow him. Let's trust in him. And let's remind ourselves of that. And so right now I want to ask you a question, man. What's going on in your life? What's happening that you have taken away some of the rights or some of the things that God can do for you? And what I mean by that is, where are you keeping, or what are you keeping from God? What are you trying to handle on your own, where he is the one to be the handler of the situation? That's the question that I have for you today. Where are you at with that? So I thank you guys for listening, and I will see you in the